Hi everyone, welcome to School of Scarlet. Today I have another intuitive message for you. So I was in the middle of recording this message and this speaker back here kept turning on and off, and I don't know why. Maybe I had left it on without turning it off, but it has been days since I've used it, probably weeks. I use it when I paint or I'm in the bathtub or something to listen to music. So that might be significant to someone. It is a speaker. Maybe somebody is being called to be a speaker today, or, that is their gift or path. So receive that if that is for you. So today's message is coming through intuitively. Take what resonates for you and leave what does not. So today's message is all around fear. So what I'm seeing around fear is that essentially the foundations of everything are the same. So there is nothing for you to actually fear here. So first I'm seeing kind of like gold melted down. And so gold could be many things, like a heart pendant, or, maybe a statue, or it could be many different forms. But essentially at the end of the day, when we melt it down, if we melt down every single piece of gold on this earth, it will return back to being basically just gold, not in any specific form. I'm also seeing this for Play-Doh. So I'm seeing Play-Doh when we would play with Play-Doh in preschool and things like that. We can create a snowman. We can create a Ninja Turtle. We can create a tree. There's so many different things that we can create with it. But at the end of the day, it's just Play-Doh. So what's happening here in our reality is that there are many different forms that are appearing in many different ways. We have the speaker over here making noise. We got the camera recording. I got myself here. Whatever it is, it's actually all the same. There is no difference, no separation, and there's no real threat here at all. This is actually heaven on earth. So I'm going to explain it to you. What I'm seeing coming through is food. So that some of you are very fearful of your food. You've transcended many things. So the other thing that's coming through is congratulations. You have transcended so much fear, and you're seeing so many things for what they really are, and you're moving past these fears, and you are just going ahead. Even in the past, maybe you had fears of public speaking, maybe you had fears of certain jobs or doing certain things or getting into a relationship, but you are now doing this. So you're being congratulated that you are moving past your fears. But what I'm also seeing here is that some people have been kind of shifting their fears, and their fears have maybe moved, maybe not from those such scary things that, used to kind of stop them from doing things. Now the fears are kind of moving to kind of more simple things, like fears of food. If it's not organic, I'm seeing, if it's not made a certain way or in a certain place, then it is something that is causing fear within some of you. And so what I'm seeing here is that there is nothing to be fearful of. Everything is the same consistency, the same material. There is nothing outside of you that can hurt you, that can truly ever do anything to you. It is only your beliefs that allow this to happen. So what's happening here, what I'm seeing is that when fear arises, it's just like a thought form. So your thoughts, the things that you hear in your mind saying, okay, you can do this, or don't do this, or, maybe it'll have a whole commentary about something. Remember when this happened? All of these thought forms that come through, they are not to be believed. They're actually not your thought forms, nor are they real. You are to discern them, and for the most part, ignore them. So I'm a therapist. I worked many years with people doing cognitive behavioral therapy, and that's exactly what we did, is work on thought forms and really discerning them and just showing them how not to believe these thoughts that are coming through their minds. And so what's coming through is that is exactly what fear needs to do as well. Fear needs to leave because it is not real. It is literally just like a thought form. So it'll arise, and it'll arrive just like the thought form. It'll say, oh, this is so scary. If you eat this, you will die. If you eat this, you will have a disease, and you will get all scared. But if you believe that fear, if you believe that thought form, that fearful thought form that has come through, and say, yes, it is true. If I eat this, this will happen to me. Then now you have allowed it in your body. So now it's actually working in your body, and it can actually harm your body in this illusion, not in the grand scheme of things. But for this story, yes, it could affect you in some way because you've allowed it to enter your system and believe it to be true. So you're a very powerful being. If you do not know this, everything that you choose to believe is what becomes reality. That's why manifestation and all this stuff is real, because what you believe becomes truth. The things that you allow in your mind and in your body to be true is what manifests into the physical. We're playing a game here. You're literally like a magician. So, what will you believe of those fearful thought forms? There are some times that we have encounters with something very scary. Let's say it were a bear, right? That's what we always hear, like the fight or flight. We see a bear, something that's actually going to harm us. Even then, we don't have to be so fearful. But when there is immediate danger, that's a natural fear. That's a fear that is actually indicating something for your body to do. Now, listen, it is your body to do. It's not your mind. It's not for your mind to be tied up in knots forever or, in these thought loops forever. It's for your body to start to run. It's for your body to act. So you're not meant to be stuck in thought forms of thinking things over and over and over again and living this way in fear. So if you're fearful of your food, the other thing that's coming through is that for many years, people that, were in religious different communities and organizations, and maybe that's just their beliefs, whatever, those were their beliefs that maybe they were fearful of food that had been, let's say, killed in an inhumane way, or, they had something happen to this animal in a way that wasn't like the cleanest, nicest way. So what would they do? They would pray over it and they would atone it, and then it would become good to eat, and they would eat it and it would be good for their bodies. Was it good for their bodies? Yes, it was. Why? Because they atoned it that way, and you have the power to do so as well. So your words are very, very, very powerful. So the whole thing around words, most of the times you can take out a dictionary, like a Black Law dictionary, and really look at these words, examine them. They're telling you what they are. So when we're spelling, the word spelling, like writing out spelling things, it's actually a spell. Do you hear the spelling of it? So the beginning is a spell. Why? Because we're constantly casting spells into this world. Now, these aren't witch spells. This is nothing negative. The spells are literally basically like magic. If we say that food is bad, then we will believe it to be bad. And as it enters our body, it will do us the harm, because we have the power to basically be that magician and say, that's a bad food. But you also have the power to turn that around and not even say that to begin with, and say that is a good food and it will nourish my body and it will be so amazing to eat. And trust me, if you do this, your food will taste so good and your body will accept it so well, and it will nourish your body. It will replenish everything for you. So there was a time that I was very, very fearful of eating certain foods. I was so fearful, I became a raw food vegan. So I wasn't just a vegan, I was eating raw foods. I couldn't eat out at any restaurant with any of my family, any of my friends, no one. And then I became pregnant and I decided to change that diet. But for a while there, I lived that way. And when I look back at that time, I noticed that I was riddled with fear. I thought that these foods were going to cause me all kinds of issues. I thought they were going to cause me all sorts of things. I had a whole idea of, low energy. I was going to be getting sick off pesticides. I was going to be getting bad skin, not enough sleep. So many different things I had in my mind that would happen if I ate the food that most people ate. Well, I became pregnant and I noticed that I had very low energy, that eating these foods was actually harming me. And my doctors and everybody were also saying, you are harming yourself. And it was because I was eating and believing these things that were basically fearful thought forms. We are not meant to believe those things. So the Bible in itself, like 365 times, goes over, do not fear. Do not be fearful. We can go into other religions, the Quran, Buddhism, Hinduism, all these things. Are they books about fear? Are they teaching you to be fearful? No. They are constantly talking about the beauty and the bliss of life and how not to be fearful and how to align with love and unconditional love. So we are not meant to be fearful. We are not meant to do these things. We are actually harming ourselves by believing that, okay, if we call this food bad and we reject all of these foods, then we are okay. No, you're actually putting yourself in a corner. And again, when I was in that time that I was a raw food vegan, again, I was very disconnected. My friends would go out to eat. Even like my boyfriend or whatever at the time, we could only eat at one restaurant in Houston. Now, this was like 20 years ago, but there was only one restaurant in Houston that offered that kind of food. And so it was very limiting, and you're not meant to be limited. You're meant to be expansive. You're meant to try all kinds of foods, have all kinds of experiences, share all kinds of things without fear, just like a joyful child. Children are not worried about these things. They are just going out there and eating the things that they like. They're having fun, and they grow and they do well. And that is how your body is. When you have a joyful attitude, when you accept and receive things in your reality with joy, they actually nourish and edify you. So I am really encouraging you today to not be fearful, and not just with food, with anything. The other thing that's coming out is that I have just bagged up 11 bags of old clothing that I had here in my house. Now, prior to that, I bagged up a lot more, so I've been getting rid of a lot of stuff. This is a time of releasing. So as I bagged up all these bags of clothes, I realized, wow, clothes is so abundant. I have so much clothes that I don't know what to do with it. And I thought about all of this clothes. Where did it come from? How did I get so much? Because recently, like I say, I got rid of a bunch of clothes just a while back. And now I've accumulated another 11 bags of clothes to donate. So where did this clothing come from? Well, my mother donated it to me. People donated it to me. So it wasn't clothes that I purchased. So why was it coming into my reality so quickly? How did I get so much of it? And this was really nice clothing, like high-end, very nice clothing. And what happened was that I didn't have any fears that I wouldn't have clothing. It was just a natural thing for me. Clothing is now so abundant in our world that I had no fears that I wouldn't have clothing. Many years ago, in other lifetimes, we didn't have the abundance of clothes. We maybe had a couple of dresses, and we had to clean them and clean them and clean them. And maybe they get tattered and they were very expensive and things like this. That's not the case now. So because we don't have the fear that we will not have clothing, or that we will lose clothing, or that clothing is not here for us, we have an abundance of clothes. Now clothes comes just out of nowhere. And that's how manifestation works. When I was trying to conceive my daughter, I actually had infertility problems. It went over a year, and I had to go seek fertility treatments. So did my husband at the time. And upon getting the treatment, the first treatment that we had, I relaxed. I felt, oh, well, now I have everything in me and I'm just going to be fine. Now we have the fertility treatments. Believe it or not, they had done nothing to my body, nothing at all. I had not taken anything. They had done tests. And they had done tests on my husband. But because I thought that we were on this path and everything was going to be fine now, my body relaxed and I became pregnant even before they were able to do any kind of treatment. So this is a message to someone to relax. When you are fearful that something is going to hurt you, allow that to dissipate. Get rid of that fear. And then whatever you thought was going to be harmful to you actually works in your favor. And those foods will actually nourish you. And what you thought would make you gain weight or hurt you in some way, it just cannot do that anymore. It cannot do that. This is heaven on earth. So this message is all coming around fear, and you can translate it to many different things. I don't know what you could be fearful of or what could be arising for you. It's very natural for this to arise, for the fear to arise, but we have to discern it and say, this is not true. This is an illusion. And I know the greatness within me, and I know the truth, and I know that everything is truly made of the same substance. And I know the power of my words on this plane, and how it has the power to transmute anything. So if you are not ready to just transmute it yourself, to see it differently within your own mind or beliefs, then the thing you can do is pray. Pray over your food. It is very simple. Many people pray over their food. Many people pray over all kinds of things, and this is how you transmute. And it's not necessary that you do this. You can simply have it in your heart that it is not something to be feared, that it is already something good and pure because it comes of God. It is of source. It has source running within it. So it cannot be bad and it cannot hurt you. So you can already have that mentality and everything will be transmuted. Now that's living heaven on earth. So if you'd like to live heaven on earth, you have to let go of fear. And that is why the Bible and so many religious texts and even just inspirational wisdom type people and philosophers and all of that talk about this, because fear is a total illusion. So stop fearing things. There is nothing to fear here. At all moments, you're in the perfect place. You are safe. You are held and you are okay. But if you believe it otherwise, then you can create those stories for you. There are beautiful stories and there are also nightmares playing out. Which one do you want to align with? That is a question. It's all in your beliefs. So I hope that this message found you well. I hope that you will choose heaven on earth. And I know that most of you have already chosen this. It's just a little bit of that fear popping in here and there. And as you purify your body, some of you, what I'm hearing is that purification is happening. So you're wanting to drink more water. You're wanting to have more fruits and vegetables. This is healthy for your body. Go with it, but you don't have to condemn anything. You don't have to condemn anything. You can just see it that my body is now craving these foods. My body is now needing these, and that is good for it, and I will have those. But if one day I want to have a chocolate piece of cake or, a candy bar, I can do that. Everything here is good. So again, I hope that this message found you well. If it did, give me a thumbs up, a heart, comment down below. I love responding to each and every one of y'all's comments. Thank you so much for your love and support. If you're new here, I hope that you will return, and I will see you on the next message.